Let me ask you something. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow with more money than anyone else on the planet? I mean real wealth, not a couple million, not even a billion. I'm talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, enough to buy anything, go anywhere, influence anyone. What does it feel like to live at the top of the food chain? To have governments return your calls, to make one tweet and shake global markets, to build rockets, reshape industries, and still walk into a room as the most talked about person in it. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it is, but it's not all fantasy. For one man, it's reality. And today, we're going to unpack the story of that man, the richest human alive. We'll go deep into the rise, the risks, the ruthlessness, and yes, the real cost of being number one. So buckle up, because by the end of this episode, you'll realize something most people never do. Being the richest isn't always about the money. It's about something far more powerful. Let's begin. Part 1. Who is the richest man alive? As of this recording, the richest man on earth is Elon Musk. Now, you've probably heard the name. Maybe you've seen a headline, a tweet, or a viral video clip of him smoking a joint on a podcast, launching rockets into space, or casually reshaping the auto industry. But knowing the name Elon Musk is very different from understanding who he is and how he became the richest human on the planet. Because Elon Musk isn't just another billionaire, he's a phenomenon, a mixture of genius, chaos, stubborn vision, and sheer willpower wrapped in the body of a man who sleeps 5 hours a night, sends memes at midnight, and runs multiple companies like most of us juggle our laundry. Born in Pretoria, South Africa in 1971, Musk was a kid who didn't fit in. He was bullied badly. He had few friends. He buried himself in books, reading science fiction, engineering manuals, and encyclopedias for fun. He taught himself programming by the age of 10. By 12, he'd sold his first video game, but no one saw what was coming. Eventually, he made his way to the U.S., hopping from Canada to the University of Pennsylvania. That's when the transformation began, from awkward outsider to startup visionary. He co-founded Zip2, a city guide software for newspapers, back in the dot-com boom. When Compaq bought it, Musk made his first $20 million. Not bad for a kid who used to get thrown downstairs in middle school. Then came X.com, a wild early online bank that eventually merged into a little company you might have heard of, PayPal. When PayPal was bought by eBay for $1.5 billion, Musk, still in his early 30s, walked away with over $160 million. And here's where most people would cash out. Buy an island, build a mega mansion, disappear into billionaire retirement. But not Musk. He took nearly every penny he had and bet it all on 3 impossible ideas. 1. Electric cars. 2. Private rockets. 3. Solar energy. Let that sink in. At the time, Tesla was a joke. EVs were seen as golf carts with dreams. SpaceX ? That was science fiction. The idea that a private company could do what only governments had done, launch rockets into orbit, supply the space station, maybe even go to Mars. People laughed. And Solar City, his solar panel company, was dismissed as a niche experiment in a fossil fuel world. But here's the thing, Musk didn't just start companies. He committed his life to them. He risked everything, financially, mentally, physically. At one point in 2008, he was so close to bankruptcy that he had to borrow money for rent. Yes, the richest man on earth was once broke by choice. Fast forward to today, Tesla is the most valuable car company in the world. SpaceX has reusable rockets that land themselves. Starlink, his satellite internet project, is beaming internet to remote corners of the planet. And Musk? Musk isn't just a billionaire. He's the billionaire, the benchmark, the meme, the market mover. But here's what most people don't realize. His wealth isn't about money in the bank. It's not cash stuffed in vaults or gold bars stacked in basements. His net worth, estimated at over $200 billion, is mostly tied up in stocks and assets. Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, the Boring Company, X, formerly Twitter. If the markets dip, so does his rank. In fact, there's a strange seesaw happening right now. One day, he's the richest man alive. The next, it's Bernard Arnault, the French luxury tycoon behind brands like Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Moet. Some days, Jeff Bezos sneaks back up. But the point isn't who has the title on a given Tuesday. The real point is this: what does it mean to be the richest person alive? Because Elon Musk's story isn't just about numbers. It's about ambition. It's about obsession. It's about pushing the limits of what one human mind, however flawed, can do when it's fueled by vision, money, and a deep, almost primal need to prove wrong, world wrong. Part 2: The Road to Risk and Ruthless H-Science. If Part 1 told you who Elon Musk is, Part 2 tells you what it took. Because the road to the top, it's not straight, it's not pretty, and it sure as hell isn't safe. Being the richest man in the world isn't just about smart business. It's about risk, obsession, and sometimes being willing to break things, including relationships, reputations, and reality itself. Let's go back to 2008. Remember that year? The global financial crisis was in full swing. Banks were failing. Millions were losing jobs. And Musk? He was on the edge of ruin. At the time, Tesla had barely gotten the Roadster to market. It was plagued with production issues, battery problems, and a media that treated electric cars like science fiction. Most thought Tesla wouldn't survive the year. Then there was SpaceX, Musk's rocket company. He'd already blown through 3 failed rocket launches. Each one cost tens of millions. Each one was a brutal punch to the gut. The 4th launch? It had to work. If it didn't, SpaceX would die, and so would Musk's credibility. He poured in his last funds, sold everything he could. Friends told him to stop. Advisors begged him to walk away. But Elon Musk doesn't walk away. That 4th launch worked. It was a turning point. A government contract followed. NASA backed SpaceX. Suddenly, the impossible seemed less impossible. But here's the thing. Musk wasn't playing it safe. He wasn't building lifestyle brands or resting on PayPal money. He was betting his entire fortune again and again on moonshot ideas. Let's break it down. Tesla. Most people see it now as the face of the EV revolution. But back then, Tesla was seen as a reckless gamble. Big Auto laughed. Wall Street doubted. But Musk didn't just want to build a car. He wanted to change the world's energy economy. That meant building batteries, gigafactories, vertical supply chains, charging infrastructure, every piece of the puzzle. At times, Tesla came within hours of collapse. There were days when Musk personally slept in the factory, not metaphorically, literally, on a couch or the floor, overseeing production, solving problems by hand. He once said, "I don't want to be anyone's boss, but I can't let Tesla die." And it worked. Slowly, painfully, but it worked. Tesla delivered the Model S, then the Model X, then the more affordable Model 3. Every time the goal got bigger, the critics louder, but so did the customer base, and so did Musk's fortune. SpaceX. Musk's rocket company wasn't just about orbit. It was about control, about saying, if governments can't get to Mars, I will. Think about that. a private citizen setting his eyes on an interplanetary species. SpaceX did what no private company had done before. They launched, orbited, docked with the space station, deployed satellites, and then they made the impossible routine: rockets that land themselves, fleets of low Earth satellites providing global internet, launches cheaper than any competitor, and looming on the horizon, Starship, a massive, fully reusable rocket capable of carrying humans to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. And Musk, he's not doing it to make a quick buck. He's doing it because he sees humanity as fragile. One asteroid, one war, one climate disaster, and it's over. His answer? Make us multiplanetary, make us unkillable. Ambitious? Sure. Arrogant? Maybe. But also, the kind of thinking that redefines history. Solarcity and energy. But Musk's obsession with sustainability didn't stop at the road or the sky. He knew energy was the root of it all. So he backed Solar City, pushing residential solar power into the mainstream. Later, Tesla absorbed the company and began developing home batteries, the Powerwall, and massive grid-scale storage units for cities. The goal: to make fossil fuels irrelevant, to tie together solar, storage, and electric transport into a seamless system. Musk wasn't building Compa-Corpo. Musk wasn't building companies. He was building an ecosystem, a fully integrated future, one where you power your home with the sun, store that energy in your wall, charge your electric car at night, and wake up the next day, off-grid, carbon-free, and plugged into a smarter civilization. That kind of thinking? It's not normal. And it didn't come without backlash, because behind every breakthrough, there's a cost. The personal toll. Let's not sugarcoat this. Musk's rise to the top left scars. He's been divorced multiple times. He's had public meltdowns on Twitter. His relationship with employees? Complex. Some say he's a visionary who pushes people to greatness. Others say he's impossible, demanding, detached from reality. There are stories of all-night email marathons, engineers being fired on the spot, intense deadlines that burn through even the most brilliant minds. He once told employees, "You should pretend you have a bomb strapped to your head. You have to make it or you're dead." Part 3. The Dark Side of Power and the Battle for Legacy. So far, you've heard about the rise, the obsession, the risks, the genius that turned Elon Musk into the richest man on Earth. But no story about power is complete without the other side. The darkness, the consequences, the questions no balance sheet can answer. Because when you hold that much influence, when you literally reshape industries, conversations, and even national policy, the question changes. It's no longer, how much is he worth? It becomes, what kind of world is he building, and who pays the price? The controversies and critics. Let's start with the obvious. Elon Musk is a lightning rod, and not just for fans. In fact, for many, he's a villain. He's been called reckless, erratic, even dangerous. A man who tweets before he thinks, who fires before he explains, who challenges regulators, mocks politicians, and makes bold claims with little regard for fallout. He's faced lawsuits from the SEC, whistleblower complaints, labor violations, safety concerns in Tesla factories, and fierce criticism for how he handled COVID-19 shutdowns. He's clashed with unions, downplayed pandemic risks, and fired employees who questioned his authority. There are employees who call him a genius. There are others who call him a tyrant. Both might be right. When Musk bought Twitter, now X, he claimed it was to save free speech. But his version of free speech opened the floodgates to hate speech, disinformation, and chaos. Thousands of employees were laid off. Policies shifted without warning. Advertisers fled. Critics say the platform lost its soul. Musk says it finally found its voice. So which is it? Is he protecting liberty or fueling division? When you own the digital town square, the answer isn't just philosophical, it's political, and it shapes reality. The human cost. And then there's the cost that numbers don't show. How many brilliant engineers burned out under impossible deadlines? How many workers collapsed on factory floors? How many families were neglected so companies could scale? See, greatness and destruction often walk hand in hand. That's the deal with world-shaping innovation. You don't build rockets to Mars by taking coffee breaks. You don't reinvent transportation, communication, and the global energy grid by playing it safe. But you also don't get to walk away from the damage you cause. Musk's supporters argue that the world needs people like him, flawed, brilliant, driven beyond reason. They say his imperfections are the price of progress. His critics argue the opposite, that unchecked power, even in the hands of a genius, is still unchecked. The psychology of power. Let's go deeper. What happens to a person when they hold that much control? Musk has said publicly that he often feels alone, that he doesn't enjoy being the richest man, that he battles mental health challenges and works through pain that most of us will never see. There's a loneliness to genius, a burden to vision, and a high cost to never turning it off. Musk doesn't take vacations. He doesn't really relax. His brain is a pressure chamber, constantly thinking 20 years ahead. But in that rush toward the future, where does he go? Who is left standing when the world he imagines finally arrives? The legacy question. And now we arrive at the final question. What is Elon Musk's legacy? Will he be remembered as the man who saved the planet with sustainable energy, connected the world with Starlink, and pushed humanity to the stars? Or will he be remembered as the ultimate cautionary tale? A man so obsessed with progress he forgot to care about the people? Because history doesn't remember stock prices, it remembers consequences. Julius Caesar changed Rome and was stabbed by his peers. Thomas Edison lit the world and crushed his rivals without mercy. Steve Jobs revolutionized technology and left a complicated legacy. Elon Musk is still writing his story, but make no mistake, he is not just building companies. He's building the 21st century, and what that century looks like: more connected, more isolated, more free, more controlled, that depends on the choices he makes next. The final word. So, what do we do with all of this? Admire him? Criticize him? Study him? Maybe all of the above. Because Elon Musk isn't just a figure of wealth, he's a mirror, reflecting what we value: innovation, risk, glory, speed, power, ego, future. And as we follow his journey, whether we agree with him or not, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of world are we building? Because the future, it doesn't just belong to billionaires, it belongs to all of us.